this, at the press conference. 9:29, Tuesday, August 10th. The Chief of Police, Chief Stephen Ignacio, joins us right here on the link. Good morning, Chief.
Hey, Chris. Good morning. Sorry about that. Apparently, I had two things going on at 9 o'clock, and I didn't realize that. I was just meeting with the JAG from the Judge Advocate General, the lawyer from Camp Blas. Yeah, so wanted to do a meet and greet.
Wow.
So I kept that short so I can accommodate this. Because I committed to this as well.
Well, thank you so much for that, Chief.
No problem.
I guess we'll just start with this vaccination mandate. DOA had said they're coming out with a circular about it. But what kind of concerns or, just talk have you heard from the officers regarding this, and how do you plan on implementing this EO from the governor?
Well, Chris, the executive order is a directive from the governor, and we are an executive line branch agency. So, I've read through it, and we're working on how to execute it and ensure compliance. I am waiting for the circular from Department of Administration, and I'm sure it'll provide more guidance as to how we're going to execute this executive order and ensure that we respect the rights of the employee, but also making sure that we also protect those employees in the workplace and those that we come in contact with in the general public. And, our officers do come in contact a lot with the general public to ensure the safety of both the community and the officers as well. Within the Guam Police Department, I'm sure you might be interested. What's our vaccination rate?
Yeah.
And so we're at about 65, I think, or 67%. So that means about a third of our employees, that's both uniformed and civilian, have not received the vaccination. Throughout the course of the vaccination clinics, though, opportunities were afforded. Especially early on, we were one of the first ones, to get vaccinated, and we took advantage of that opportunity. I took advantage of it as well, as an employee, as the chief. So we have about a little over 100 employees, give or take, that have not received the vaccine. I did in the past, sometime in most of July, I actually went around and I did a meet and greet with the officers at the precincts. I broke it down, meeting in Agotnia, meeting Agate, meeting Central, and meeting with Dedo. And, I tried to break down those barriers to vaccination. And the feedback I got is, the hesitancy is related to what they've read supposedly about side effects, mostly, and hearing that there's some severe side effects that some people have experienced, and others just don't know enough about it to feel comfortable getting the vaccine. So. That's where we're at with that. We continue to set, as staff officers and the chief, we continue to send the message downward to our officers, that the vaccine is safe. Scientifically, it's been proven safe. I think what's going to help is that, I'm looking forward to the FDA full approval, as opposed to this EOA that seemed to be one of the contentions from the officers, is that it's got an EUA and not a full approval. They'd be less hesitant, and they'd probably go and get the vaccine if it was given full approval. So I think if we finally get full approval from the FDA for at least I believe the Pfizer, I think that'll open up the doors for more officers to come in and feel comfortable of taking the vaccine.
So 33% unvaccinated over at GPD. Something that it was Robert Koss from GFT mentioned yesterday, and even Mr. Fidenko, about some people are saying, if they force me to take this vaccine, I'm gonna just walk away. I'm gonna quit, right? Are you prepared to to deal with that? If some of your officers, 33% is a pretty big number. And you're already experiencing a shortage of officers. How are you going to deal with that if they just said, no, you're not going to force me to put something in my body?
Well, there's still two exemptions to mandatory vaccination, and one is religion and one is disability or medical reasons. So notwithstanding any of that, I don't know, Bree. I really don't know what the answer is. It's one of those things. We get to cross that bridge when we get there. I do know, in reading some of the mandated vaccines, like I believe it's somewhere in Houston, there was a hospital system. They lost about 100 some nurses, or staff because they refused to get vaccinated. So some of them voluntarily resigned. Some of them were terminated. But we'll see. I don't want to lose an officer over a vaccine, over a shot. But at the same time, I have a duty too as a chief to make sure that my officers who are vaccinated are protected. And we continue so that we can continue to protect the community. Because what if that 1/3 of the police department all got COVID because they refused to get vaccinated? I'm still going to be left with that dilemma. 1/3 of my officers out for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. I mean, I lost an officer who was in ICU for almost 2 months, and so yeah, it's going to hurt whether they leave because they didn't get vaccinated or they get the virus and they're out for a month or so or even longer.
What about the disciplinary action portion of this memo, Chief? Are you prepared to discipline your officers if they A, refuse to get vaccinated, or B, don't submit to the weekly COVID tests?
And that's where the guidance from the Department of Administration would be helpful. That would let us know, because there's the thing in government of Guam that we call a progressive discipline. So we have to look at whether what type of progressive discipline is recommended. Are we starting with a letter of warning, a letter of reprimand? Are we just going straight into suspension, demotion, and then termination, or just go straight into termination? I don't know. We're a line agency. We fall under the Department of Administration. We follow those personnel rules and regulations. So I'm sure that I'll know more once that circular is issued, and to provide us more guidance. Because the executive order is the mandate, but the execution would be that executive order. I mean the memorandum, the circular from DOA as to how this thing will be executed.
Are you worried at all, though, Chief? Because when you talk about the 1/3 of your officers or employees who aren't vaccinated, and you give the reason is that they believe a lot of this anti-vax information. So it's not necessarily that they were busy or they didn't have time. It's that maybe some of them have dug their heels in and are just gonna not want to do it. Do you think this is going to lead to confrontation?
And then that's the conversation we've been having. That's the conversation I had when I was out and about visiting the precincts. The numbers are the numbers don't lie. A lot of who are not those that are not vaccinated tend to get the virus and tend to get more sick from the virus. I gave them the evidence. The last 2 officers in the department that tested positive, they were unvaccinated. They didn't want to get the vaccine, and they were working in the quarantine facility, the isolation facility, and of course there's a higher risk down there, and but they it's still a voluntary choice, and so they chose not to, and so unfortunately they contracted the virus, and but we'll see, Chris, and Bree, when we as this thing unfolds and we get additional guidance from the governor, lieutenant governor, and the Department of Administration, and we'll see how this thing is going to be executed. Because the executive order was issued last week Friday, became effective Monday this past week, and then of course we have up until September, I think 24th for compliance. So we have about a month and a half to work with our personnel and continue to educate them. This is not trying to convince them. We're just trying to educate them on the benefits of the vaccine. And like I said, once we get, hopefully get full FDA approval, those that express hesitancy, did say that some of them did say that if this was a fully approved vaccine by the FDA, they feel more comfortable getting the vaccination shot.
Anything, Bree, non-COVID executive order?
Yeah. Is the GPD done with their administrative side of the investigation into the off-duty officer involved in the fatal shooting in Tamuning? Because we understand that he's back on the job. So does that mean that you guys have completed your side?
No, that administrative investigation is still ongoing. And, we continue to work with the agent's office and look at their findings as well in relation to our administrative findings. But no, that's still actively ongoing. And it's raining real heavy up here in Quezon right now.
What about the, I know it's the Jerry's Kitchen. I thought there was also an administrative investigation into
yes, that's concluded already. Yeah.
Oh, so what happened?
It's a personnel matter. I'm sorry, I can't disclose any personnel action.
Personnel matter. Was any adverse action taken?
I can't say.
Okay. I did want to follow up because I've been working on our next Crimes Without Conviction podcast, and I did want to ask about a cold case unit at GPD. Is that something that you guys are looking at establishing, or is it just because you don't have enough manpower to stand something like that up?
I've been asked to stand up, to talk, to consider the cold case unit. But, with the amount of cases that is backlogged at criminal investigation section, which is where the cold case unit usually falls under, it's just, we're hard pressed to staff it right now. And, we're having to deal daily with the criminal sexual conducts, the aggravated assaults, the thefts, we're just really short-handed. I've got to deal right now. I've been in communication with one of the deputies from DOE. We're working to help them with their school openings, everything from traffic direction to, just making sure that we have some kind of presence, maybe at the schools. I was talking with my staff about maybe doing a meet and greet, but with the uptick in the cases of COVID, I think it's not something that we want to go out and engage right now. We just want to minimize the number of people on the campus, and keep the campus safe. Keep that bubble safe for the students. So we don't want to introduce our officers to the campus. But I've been working with Erica Cruz from DOE the past couple of days, and she has reached out to the Guam Police Department. They're looking for help with traffic direction. So one of the things that we'll be monitoring along with their principals is there going to be an increase in the number of parents dropping off because they're concerned if there's a hesitance or fear of putting their kids with other kids on a school bus, right? Is there enough school buses? Is there going to be enough social distancing in the school bus? And so that's one of the things I heard is a concern to parents is putting them on a school bus. And so most parents supposedly are opting to drive their kids to school. And so with an increase in the number of cars going in and out, there's going to be traffic congestion, traffic jams, and so that's where they're asking us to help out. And I did ask her to identify some of the schools. I don't have the personnel to be at all the schools. I know there's some schools that probably don't need traffic direction or help with in that area, only because I've shifted some of my resources right now to deal with the number of soldiers and sailors that are out and about in our community. Just last week, Captain Kim Santos had a meeting with some military representatives, just to give us the awareness. So I was tracking 600 Marines supposedly, and a little over 1,000 British sailors or soldiers that are going to be out from the 8th to 11th down in, of course, probably in the Tumon area.
Right.
And we're also, that's on top of the meeting that I had with the civil affairs from the Army regarding their couple of thousand, Army soldiers that are here for the ongoing exercise, and I think they're here till the 14th. So, we're kind of spread all over the place. Everything from school openings to dealing with soldiers and sailors. Not only from the U.S. military, but also from the British military as well. And I'll tell you, I was in, like Chris said, I go out and we had dinner last night, and we drove down to Tumon to grab some dessert with the kids. And I'll tell you, the streets of Tumon are full. There was a lot of people walking around, and
what are some of the concerns, Chief, that you guys have in these discussions with the military about this large presence down in Tumon?
Well, of course, Chris, they've been given liberty, so that means they get to go out, and enjoy the community, and they're going to be down at the bars. The bars are open, and so we have those alcohol-related incidents. We've had a couple already, from one being passed out drunk, one disturbances, between the military and the locals. That happened a couple of weeks ago, at least I think last weekend. And just the normal things that we run into, and there's alcohol-involved incidents. And that's usually the issues that we have. I did get a call over the weekend, and we did send our team out along with the public health team to go down and visit all the hotels because there were complaints being received regarding people not wearing their masks while walking in and around the hotel premises. So we went down and talked to the hotel staff and management, about making sure that they do their part, to enforce the mask mandates.
Did they say they have problems enforcing it?
Yeah, some of the staff at the hotels did convey that, they do what they can, but, they do run into some people, whoever their guests are, that, refuse to wear the mask or, refuse to put it on when they're asked. And so, I think having our presence there helps. And, we're going to continue because, like I said, I have a night shift dedicated to, monitoring what's going on with our military visitors. And so, we'll continue to visit these hotels and, just do random visits just to make sure that we're getting compliance with the wearing of masks.
Chief, I know that they do the shore patrols, right? But in any of these conversations you had, was there ever an idea to increase the shore patrol to take the load a little bit off GPD, or?
Yeah, so we did have conversations with some of the military representatives, and they are trying to set up a shore patrol. But in the meantime, though, while we're waiting for that shore patrol to be stood up, whether they're going to do it or not, we have established good points of contact with the people that we need to call up, when we need to notify them, and it's worked. We've run into some issues, that were resolved at that level. Just working with the patrol officers and these commands, and providing them notification.
Good, Reed. Well, any DUI checkpoints is coming up, Chief?
None that I'm tracking. Like I said, we're kind of spread between the highway patrol, spread between Yeah. Working with the schools and working night shift. Yeah.
Right, and so I know that discussion was prompted by Bree's question about standing up the cold case task force. So it does sound like you guys are spread thin, but what would it take, like in terms of warm bodies, to actually stand up that task force?
When I ran the cold case unit, I had about 5 officers, 2 from GPD. Myself, and then 1 port police and 1 airport police. Yeah, so it's a multi-agency task force. Worked out pretty well. Yeah, so some of those guys, actually most of the guys that were in that cold case are still around. Yeah. They're still working in law enforcement, and we talk about it every once in a while.
I did want to ask, because when Chief Ishizaki, was it 2004 when he stood up the cold case unit? At the time, there were 97 cold cases. How many cold cases do we have now? Did you say over 100?
Yeah, definitely over 100. I can get a count from CID, because there have been cases since then that have become cold, or there's no action in them for a while.
Yeah. And, in the upcoming podcast I'm doing, I did speak with the retired Chief of Police, James Marquez, and Sergeant Barry Flores from the cold case unit previously under Ishizaki. And they were talking about, the need for another cold case unit and trying to help GPD. And, they don't blame anything on GPD or any chiefs, in the past. What they do say is that we need to put more resources to GPD, and that falls on our elected leaders in prioritizing it. And if they truly care about public safety, then they would do something about it. So
yeah, well, to that point, Bree, I'll tell you right now, this 11th cycle is going to be graduating in a couple weeks, August 27th. But I've already picked up the next 6 police officer trainees, and that's for the combined cycle. So we're ready to start. We're just waiting for the other agencies to get their recruits squared away. But we're ready to go. We have our 6 for this next cycle, and then while that's ongoing, or while we're ready to start that cycle, we're already doing the next batch, and that's going to be a little over 20 plus officers, but we're already working through that process. The background investigations is ongoing right now.
Awesome.
So, this administration is committed to getting more officers. We're hiring them, but unfortunately, I hire 6 and I hear that I'm losing 5, so between now and September, I mean, it's just an uphill battle, to say the least, and what we're seeing, is with the opening of Camp Blas, is that, they're also ramping up their hiring. And so that's really affecting the local law enforcement agencies, not just me. But, we're seeing, our younger officers, because of pay and benefits, we're seeing them, take that leap and putting their applications. And so that's in September's usually when we start to see officers who have reached their retirement age when they start to retire. So I'm getting close to that point, and I'm tracking at least 2 or 3 more very seasoned senior officers that are planning to retire in September. So you see, I hired the 6 and I'm losing 5. Just there is no plus to that.
I'm sorry, Chief. Our people are very ugagwet. I'm sorry.
Like I said, Mr. Byrne and his team, they are actively looking at the pay scale for the police department, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll get feedback from his team as to what their proposal is.
Right on, Chief. Thank you for your time this morning.
Chief.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
All right. You okay over there?
Okay.
All right, on Chief. Chief Stephen Ignacio, Guam Police Department. Good morning. It's 54.
You guys want to be a police officer?
Yep.
Should apply.
They're always hiring. DOC is hiring too. If you want to be a prison